Hi everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel, The Fly Tonti. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Also remember that there are three parts to the channel. There are the videos, which is where you're finding me now. There are the video shorts, which are videos under 2 minutes. And then there are the posts, and that's where I have photographs from my travel and fashion and from my home design. But I also have more detailed information about the things that I'm seeing. I give a lot more historical background, so I hope you will visit all three parts of my site. Today I'm featuring my home again, and so I just want to point out a few things that I think may be of interest to you. When I showed my dining room, I failed to mention that this was actually the very first thing I ever purchased in Africa. We went to Africa in 1989, just on vacation. Me and three of my friends, we decided we had been going to Cancun and the Bahamas, and we wanted to go and see where our people were from. And so on that trip, we went to Senegal, the Ivory Coast, and Ghana. I fell in love with the continent. I was never the same. I came back and took a leave of absence from my job. And in 1991, I went to volunteer at the University of Ibadan Hospital in Nigeria. While I was there, this was the first thing that I purchased. And this was designed to be a door. The unfortunate thing is that I live in a townhome community, so we're not allowed to change our doors. So it took me a while to really find a home for this. And so now I have found it, and I can appreciate and enjoy this piece often. It has my Yoruba name, which is Omotokunbo. That was the name given to me by my adopted family in Nigeria, and it means the child who has returned home from across the sea. You will note the various designs here really represent parts of Africa. So the camels would represent the Sahara Desert, the pyramids, Egypt. You see a palm wine tapper here. The interesting thing is in my apartment in Nigeria, I actually had a palm wine tree outside of my apartment, and I used to watch a gentleman climb that tree, pull a plug out of it, and get the wine that they would later drink. This part over here sort of represents again Ethiopia, that part of Africa holding a baby up to the sun. The elephants represent Kenya and other countries in East Africa. And at the time, we were still living in apartheid in South Africa. So the broken chains there represent an end to apartheid, which would later come in 1994. You'll see a few other pieces as you go down the staircase, and these were pieces largely from the Caribbean. So now, as I mentioned to you before, I purchased this piece it's a Woodrow Nash piece that I purchased from E&S Gallery in Louisville, Kentucky. Her name is Eniola, which is Yoruba for wealth. And I could say that her name is apropos because she cost a small fortune, but I love her. And I would never have put this orange and blue together until I bought Eniola. And after that, she inspired a whole new design for my living room, which extended to my deck, which you will see in the spring. So, welcome to my living room. I have lots of really interesting and unique pieces here, and these are all, again, a reflection of my many years of travel and my personal interests. So, let me just show you around a little bit. So, the first piece I have here is from Ethiopia, and this is what women use to carry babies on their backs. So if you've seen African women tie babies with cloth around their back, and then they would put this piece of cowhide to protect them. And I just love this piece. I spent so many years working with and beyond and on behalf of women and children, and so this was a really important piece to have in my home. There was a period where I collected musical instruments. They became overwhelming, and so I later donated them to my son's elementary school teacher. But I, of course, kept a balafone, which every little child that comes to my home loves to play that. This piece here I actually designed. This is a mask. And I simply had them put a hole in the head of the mask, and we made a stand for it. And then I got a lampshade from Target and just glued cowrie shells on it. And it became a lamp, which I love. This is part of what is supposed to be an attaché, but this corner doesn't really lend itself to putting the top piece on, but this was made as part of my dining room set. I started to become interested in pottery as I was traveling through North Carolina, which is actually where my mother's family is from. And during one of my road trips on the way back, I stumbled on this town called Milton, North Carolina. And Milton is experiencing a revival really around the memory of a freed African American named Thomas Day. So his shop, his wood carving shop is still there. Thomas Day is a fascinating person, and I hope you will look him up. But he required that they change North Carolina law so that he could bring his wife across state lines from Virginia, or he threatened to leave North Carolina. And they valued his craftsmanship so much that they changed the law to enable him to bring his wife. He also sat in the front pews of the local church and in Milton, North Carolina, because those were the pews that he designed. And he was held in such high regard that they allowed him to do that. Some of his pieces are actually featured in museums throughout Virginia. So I hope you'll look up Thomas Day. While I was in Milton, I walked into a pottery shop, and the woman who owned the shop was finishing this piece. And I just loved it. And I told her, I want that piece right there. And then she said to me that this piece represented women in Africa standing by the well or another water source waiting to collect water. And if you've been to Africa, you know women spend hours every day collecting water for bathing and for meals. And that's why I, have such an issue with the waste that we have in this country, especially when it comes to water. But what she said they would also do is, as they were standing waiting, they would start beating on their jugs and they would make music. And this sounds very similar to the sound of a talking drum in Nigeria. And so, of course, I just had to have this piece, and I love it. I started collecting baskets from all over Africa. So some of these baskets are from Botswana. They're very famous for their baskets, as well as from South Africa. Botswana also does a lot of interesting things with ostrich eggs. This is an example. So you can see this is a complete ostrich egg. The egg itself has been taken out of the bottom. And so they have put inlay of the big five animals. You'll find all kinds of designs of ostrich eggs. Some of them have paintings on them or carvings. They also use the eggs for jewelry and all manner of things. And so I just thought that was a simply fascinating piece. As I mentioned, in North Carolina, I became really aware that North Carolina is one of our major producers of pottery. I happened to visit one of my former bosses, Sharon Epstein, and she has a wonderful collection of pottery. And I admired this piece, and by the time I got home, it was in the mail to me. And so I will be forever grateful for her for sending me this piece. And this was made by an African-American couple in North Carolina, and I just love the detail in the artwork here. A few just miscellaneous pieces of art here from Kenya, from the Ivory Coast. You see again the Gianami from Ghana. This piece, I stumbled upon an artist named Lillian Wessels. She sells her pieces in a little town in the Netherlands called Oudwater. I was actually looking up Woodrow Nash pieces, and I stumbled upon her pieces. She only does African sculptures, and they are the most amazing sculptures. They really come to life for me. And one of the differences in her pieces is that she puts eyes in them. And so it almost gives them a spirit or a soul. This one, his name is Amoke, and that means protector. The other thing I love about her pieces is she uses things from the environment. So you might find bottle caps, crayons, all manner of things blended into the pieces. I carried Amoke home on the plane in my carry-on bag. And of course, my friends who love art always want me to bring them something back. So I ended up carrying another one back for one of my girlfriends in a shopping bag on the carry-on bag. The most interesting thing was when I went through customs and through security to see these light up on the screen as they were going through the x-ray. It was really a beautiful thing. I wish I had a picture of it. But anyway, This is from Lillian Wessels. It's from a gallery called the Sill Gallery, Sille, in Udwater in the Netherlands. I got a bus, a train, and walked until I got to that gallery to get this piece. And she has some other lovely pieces. I would love to have more of her artwork. This piece really resonates with me as well. It is from Ghana. And for me, it represents the children that I have worked with for so many years, especially our boys. And to me, this young man looks like a man-child. He's clearly a child, but there's something in his face that says to me that he has seen too much. He has done too much, and he's out in the market selling biscuits or some kind of snack in order to make money to take care of himself and help support his family. And I can't tell you that I have encountered thousands upon thousands of young boys and little boys who find themselves in the same predicament. He should probably be in school, but instead he's in the market trying to make money. And so this is a constant reminder to me of the work that I have done over the past 40 years in global health, but also of the tremendous needs of our boys. And I feel like sometimes they are lost and forgotten. And so when I look at this picture, it makes me think there's something that I need to be doing for Black boys. They are suffering in silence, and I need to be doing more for them. So I love that piece. You'll find this is a beaded wall hanging. This is also from Nigeria, where they do also a lot of great work with beads. Moving around, and some of the history has been lost to me. I tried to write things down, but I do remember where pieces came from, just not always the artist. So this is a stone sculpture that I bought during one of my early trips to South Africa. And again, I love images of women and market scenes, so I love that piece. This is from the Ivory Coast. I carried this home on the plane. I love the three-dimensional nature of it. This is actually a real gourd that's mounted onto this piece, as well as you have rope here. And so I just love this piece. These are actually candle holders, and these come from Tanzania, and as you can see, they represent one of the tribes found there. Then I have like a few other miscellaneous pieces here, but this piece came from Morocco, and this is what you use in the fireplace to, to keep the fire going. And then this piece I got in a flea market in North Carolina. And I was told that it has been authenticated as slave shackles. I found these in what can only be described as a wall of hate. We went into an antique mall, and they had a whole area full of Nazi memorabilia, slave memorabilia, and I found these shackles there. And I just felt like I had to buy them because I didn't want them to be sold as a regular commodity. I didn't feel like they should be in the hands of anyone who was not a descendant of a slave person. So I bought them. I had the case made in Ghana, and so they have a final home here. And as a remembrance of all the struggle that our people have gone through. Moving along, plants. These plants, believe it or not, these two plants have been with me since my college days. They were in my first apartment in 1979, and they continue to be in my home, and they continue to thrive. I want to just say a few more things. One is this lamp here. This was also made by the same artisans that made the dining room set. It's made in pieces, you might be able to see. So it's actually 4 pieces. I had them make a hole in the center. I ran a light fixture from Sears and bought a lampshade from somewhere here in the US. And now I have a wonderful floor lamp. And then as we wrap up, this is probably one of my, I know I've said this often, but this is another one of my favorite pieces. This is from Ghana. I was in a taxi going into the market in Ghana, and this really stopped me dead in my tracks. And I said, I love this picture. I must have it. And subsequently bought 2 or 3 more to sell for friends of mine. These boys represent different ethnic groups standing in the UNICEF food line. And you know they're in the UNICEF line because of these cups in their hands. So these, again, they represent different ethnic groups. And this little boy here looks so much like my son when he was about that age. So again, another reminder of the importance of our boys and young men and of all the support that they need. Lastly, you'll find more baskets here and a beautiful table that I bought in Ghana, again with the Gianami symbol. And there are 4 individual tables with elephants underneath that I use when entertaining guests. The basket is from Ethiopia. It's usually where they serve injera, the bread that they eat with all of their meals. And so I think that pretty much wraps up my living room and the rest of my dining room area. Purchased my sofa online, came from somewhere in China. I don't even remember where. I think the blue chair is from Wayfair. But again, I would never have put these colors together until I bought Neola, and I just absolutely love them. Orange is one of my favorite colors, and so I just feel like it adds so much beauty in my home. One last thing, I do want to say something about the tile, because a lot of people think this is wood. And it's not wood. These are porcelain tiles that I found in a shop. Actually, the first place I found it was in Philadelphia when I was looking to redo this level. So I have them running throughout from the front door to the back of my house, and I just think this makes a perfect match for the rest of my decor. So again, thank you all for joining me as you've taken a little tour on part of my home. Please come back and join the Fly Tanti sometime in the near future. Bye for now.